So we're here to give advice, guidance, help really about how to keep your business safe. So, you know, and all the bits and pieces that we talk about, all the bits and guidance that we do, all of it is fully funded. So everything we talk about today, all the toolkits and the bit whatever that we come to later on, none of it has got a pound sign in front of it. So we want to be as inclusive as we possibly can. We'd love you to join our community, more of which later. But first of all, before I tell you more about what we are and what we stand for, I just want to really cover the current cybersecurity landscape, how we can help, and what you can do as your business really is the next step. So current cybersecurity landscape. First of all, I think it's quite important to actually outline what is cybercrime. So as it says there, cybercrime is unauthorized access or damage to computers, networks, digital devices. And that includes everything like your email accounts, your mobile phone, social media account, all those bits and pieces. And as part of the government, part of the Home Office, you know, every year they do what's called the Cyber Breaches Survey. The latest figures have come out very recently. And we, as it says there, 19% of businesses and 14% of charities, because we look after charities as well, has been a victim of at least one cybercrime. So be it phishing or trying to take over accounts or bits and pieces. So there's some pretty big numbers, 267,000 businesses and 28,000 registered charities. I think what we need to be really very well aware of is this is not a big boy problem. This is not just a JLR. This is not just a Rolls Royce or a Marks and Spencer's. Everybody is part of the issue, is part of the problem. Because further down the supply chain, people have less budget, they have less time, they have less availability to look at their cybersecurity. So we want to step in, we want to help, we want to give you lots and lots of guidance. As it says there, on the stats, I won't read all of them, but a large proportion of small businesses and charities have had a cyber attack. Phishing, I mean, I'm sure around this table now, if I ask for a show of hands, many people have had a phishing email, I would imagine, in the last week, if not at least in the last month, probably every day for some people. Some people around the table have hopefully got Cyber Essentials or Cyber Essentials Plus. You know, I can see certain people nodding. Thank you, Black Swan. So that again, that's a certification that we want to work towards. But quite a scary stat, really, is the fact that only 19% of the companies that responded to our survey have provided any sort of staff training in cybersecurity. There is, you know, in cybersecurity, you have to think very much like Shrek, layers of an onion. But the more you can put all the technology you can in place, the problem a lot of the time is the staff. It's staff awareness. There's a great acronym inside computing called PICNIC, which is problem in chair, not in computer, because they are the bit that are going to click on the link, open that sort of, I didn't register that with Facebook or Amazon. So we need to sort of do the staff awareness training and bits and pieces. And another big threat that is starting to creep up is AI. I won't touch massively on AI at the minute, but you know, it is a threat. We do need to be aware of it, especially what's called shadow AI, which is what the AI tools that people use inside business that you don't know about, that you're not policy for, that you're not aware of. So when it comes to threats, what are the top current threats? Well, phishing by a long way, as you can probably imagine. Impersonation, getting an email from a director or a finance person saying, oh, we need to buy this or buy that. Malware and viruses, hacking of bank accounts, and denial of service attacks. They are the most common things that we're seeing. A very quick story about impersonation. I was talking to a company a while ago that foiled an impersonation attack. The director's email account had been compromised. They'd sent an email to someone in the finance department and they said, hi, and it wasn't uncommon for them to go out and buy equipment. So they sent an email to the finance person saying, hi, I'd like to buy this particular piece of equipment. It's £10,000, send to this bank account. Thank you, director's name. The reason why they picked it up was because the director was a bit direct. He never usually said thank you on his email. So they picked it up and they spotted it because he said, because the hacker put thank you. So it just proves that the human side can stop attacks, and we need to be very well aware of that. So how do we do it? Well, as we talked about before, think Shrek, think defense in depth, and the sort of the people, process and technology principle really stands. So security awareness training for your people, spotting attacks, having a no blame culture. So if something does happen and they do click on something, get them to say it. It's much easier to remediate when they've gone, how about I clicked on something, rather than burying their head in the sand. In the process, obviously things like creating policies and procedures. Do you have an incident response plan, and have you tested it? And how do you manage access to your data? And finally, technology, having decent passwords, 3 random words, just a couple of symbols, 2-factor authentication, having a backup and testing it. Windows updates, because obviously, as we said before, Patch Tuesday, or we love that. Protecting your devices, firewalls, and malware. I'm sure we'll hear more about that later on, so I won't dwell on that side. I'll dwell more on what I'm talking about. So from our side, where there's lots and lots of bits, there's lots of help, guidance, and toolkits that we can help you with. This exercise in the box, there's government kits for boards, there's police cyber alarm where you can review your external connections. So we can give you a lot of help, and the help that we give, you can work through yourself. As I said before, all we ask for you or from you is time. One part of it is the cyber action toolkit, where you can work through sort of 3 different layers. What do you do? How do you do it? How do you implement it? If you have any questions, speak to a proper cyber company like Black Swan, for instance. So that's the first part of what we help with. Cyber Essentials is another really good certification. A lot of people have heard of it. A lot of people haven't. In a very, very quick nutshell, because I'm aware of time, it's a certification designed by the government that follows 5 key principles that makes you think about your cybersecurity and making changes to make you more aware. A lot of places now are asking this as part of a tender process or to be part of a framework or to supply, especially supply chains. So have a think about that. There's lots of help available now for that. So guidance, and you can download the toolkits. And lastly, but by no means least, on the help side, there's report fraud. If you are a victim of crime or you have an email that you want to forward on, or a text message or whatever else, then please report it. The more we know about it from the policing side, the more we can deal with it. Are we ever going to stop cybercrime? No, we're not. But the more we know about it, the more we can stop live attacks. We can mitigate as much as we can. So how do we help? Well, what is the CRC network and who are we? As I said before, we are a police-led organisation and we cover all of the country, everywhere apart from Scotland. So obviously we're in the East Midlands, which is obviously the best one, by far. But we cover the rest of the country. So if you are out of region or you have other subsidiaries or other companies you work with, there will be a CRC in your area. As it says there, we give free cybersecurity support. We don't remediate, so we don't do the actual nitty-gritty. We will report on what you've got there. We hope you get Cyber Essentials, and we'll give you a better understanding of cybersecurity, what it is, why we do it, etc., etc. So it's a really good one-stop shop. And because we deal with businesses, because we are part of police, but we deal with small businesses every single day, and especially charities, we know what makes you tick. We know what is the challenge, or what are the challenges, what we can, what you face on a day-to-day basis. And we want to support you as much as we can through webinars like this, networking events, all that sort of stuff. So if you do have other events that you think may benefit from someone talking or raising awareness, then please get in touch and we will consider. So what we ask of you really, again, as a no-cost exercise, is to become one of our community members. And the community members there get a number of things. You get a monthly newsletter, which gives you the latest sort of threats, what's going on. You get a little cyber journey, which just sort of gently prompts you about your cyber security. But the two most important things really is you get a one-to-one security discussion with me, so we can sit and talk about your business in great detail, tailored exactly to you. So it's not just let's squash any business into a box and talk about it. It's how you work, what you do, how you operate, what you've got. And secondly, but by no means least, is access to CyberPath. And CyberPath is our fully funded technical service. Again, CyberPath, as it says there, this is where we work alongside academia, and we work with our cyber protect officers and universities and provide these sort of services, all of which are fully funded. So as I said before, there's no remediation work. You pass it to your IT MSP or cybersecurity provider. And what we give you is a warts and all report in a traffic light system of how we see your network. So for one I always choose really is the Microsoft 365 service. As most of you will probably use 365. I would imagine there are hundreds of settings in the background. There's hundreds of things that you can change, tweak, amend, and justify. So we review that, we look at what flaws and weaknesses they are, and then we give you a fully fledged report, written and vetted and checked, to then take away and do the remediation work. So that's how we work. The sort of limits and reviews of the CyberPath services, you have to be HQ in the East Midlands. For us, you have to be under £20 million turnover, which I'm sure is most people in this call, and you have to be under 200 employees. If you fit all of those criteria, then we're here to help. So by all means, come and talk to us. But most importantly, we want to get you on board as a community member, get our information, and we can help you. So what are the next steps? Well, what I'd like you to do really is join your regional cyber resilience centre and arrange you one-to-one. That gives you a really good basis of what to do, where to go. We can tailor the guidance to you, and you can. I know time is a precious resource in small business, so what time you have got, we can direct towards the correct areas. And we want to work and support the people that you work with as part of supply chains. Encourage them to join as well. Use our guidance, use our services. I work quite a lot in the charity sector. We are the national lead for charities here at the East Midlands. So if you know anybody who works or volunteers, maybe their charity could do with some help, because charity budgets are very, very tight. And take advantage of our CyberPath services. They're here. They aren't going to cost you anything. So get those reports in, have a word with what we can do. So if you do want to join, that will be absolutely amazing. There's a QR code there. I realise that this is being recorded, so have a look. If you want to join the EMCRC, just go to emcrc.co.uk and click on community membership. It will be brilliant to get you on board. And yeah, welcome to us. Welcome to ask any questions. Welcome to get any help, because we want to be here to support you through your online cyber journey. And that's me. A bit of a whistle-stop tour. So hopefully you found that useful. Are we taking questions now, or is it questions at the end?
Questions at the end, please, Andy, because obviously
that's fine.
After Kevin's thing, there might be things that actually people linking from both of your presentations. Thank you.
No, that's absolutely fine.
Right.
Well, in that case, then I will step away. I'll stop sharing. So hopefully everyone's found it useful.
Yes, excellent.
There we go.
Thanks very much for that.
No.
Great. So so thank you very much for that, Andy. Very informative. If I could just introduce our second speaker, Kevin Walker. Great deal of experience in this area. Black Swan Cybersecurity Solutions, his company has been running in Derbyshire for, I think, 20 plus years. Found out today he's written a few books about this as well. So I'll hand over to Kevin.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you for inviting me along today. Really appreciate it. And thanks to Andy as well. That's a good introduction to some of the things that I'm going to be talking about. Thankfully, there's not too much crossover, and we can complement each other. I am a member of East Midlands CRC as well, and I do make use of that service. It's a great thing. Working with schools, I can offer the East Midlands Cyber Resilience Centre services to those schools. So thanks for that, Andy. Brilliant. So good afternoon. As Sean said, I'm Kevin Walker from Black Swan Cybersecurity Solutions, and I'm going to be talking about cyber resilience from a business perspective. I've been working with schools and small businesses and charities for around 20 years, as Sean mentioned. Before I start, I just want you to picture a normal Monday morning. You open your laptop and something is not right. Email is unavailable, a member of staff reports a strange message, a supplier invoice looks a bit odd, or a system you rely on will not load. The question is not just how did this happen? The better question is what do we do now? Who checks it? Who leads? Who contacts the IT provider? Can we keep trading? Can we restore our data? Do your staff know what to report and who to report to? And this is what cyber resilience is all about. I've worked in IT for around 30 years, 20 as self-employed, running my own business. And today's session is not about scaring you into doing anything. It's not a technical deep dive. This subject I can probably talk about for about 2 hours. So it's just a quick overview about what cyber resilience is. But cyber resilience is all about confidence. It's being able to bounce back if anything does happen. It's confidence that your organisation is harder to disrupt, quicker to respond, and better prepared to recover. As Sean said, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll cover those at the end. My slides are not moving on for some reason, just bear with. There we go. So cybersecurity is often thought about as something separate to everyday business. It used to be something for the IT person to deal with, something in the server cupboard where you did an occasional password reset. And that's really changed over the last few years. Most organizations rely on email, cloud systems, online backups, payroll platforms, payment systems, mobile devices, and shared files every single day. So cyber is no longer just a technical issue, it's a business issue now. It affects trust, it affects contracts, insurance, customer data, supplier relationships, and whether you can actually keep running. If you use Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, online banking, cloud accounts, remote access, and mobile devices, cybersecurity is already touching your organization. As Andy mentioned, the government's own cybersecurity breaches survey found that 43% of UK businesses reported a breach or attack in the last 12 months. And that's not scaremongering, it's the reality of how businesses now works. The good news is that most organisations can reduce a lot of the risk by getting the basics right. So most attacks start with something ordinary. It could be a fake email, a rushed payment, or a password that's been compromised and not changed. A good phishing email does not beat people because they are careless. It works because it looks like normal work. It might appear to come from a manager, a supplier, an IT provider, or a finance contract. Andy touched on this with the compromised email address. So attackers, they use trust, they use urgency, and they use authority, because they know these things can affect your decisions. Attackers don't always need to guess a password. Sometimes they buy this from online platforms. They can reuse credentials from previous data breaches or use data stolen from infected devices. And that's why protecting logins, monitoring unusual activity, and removing old accounts matters so much. As attackers get smarter, the basics still hold. Update your devices quickly, use two-factor or multi-factor authentication, know who your suppliers are, and practice your response. The key message here is optimism. You do not need a multi-million-pound security program to make progress. Excuse me a second. This is a brilliant website. I recommend everybody visit this one periodically. You can put in your email address and it will tell you if your email has appeared in any data breaches. I'd recommend you probably check this once or twice a month just to keep up to date and know what you need to do. It's a bit scary when you first look at it. Most people will probably go on and see they've been involved in 20 or 30 data breaches. I've worked in IT and cyber for 30 years and I've been in so many data breaches. There's nothing you can do to stop that because your data is held by lots of third parties. So you've got no control over that. But if you have appeared in a breach, the best advice is to change the password from the site that's been breached, and also change that same password if you're using the same username and password combination on every other site you've used. Attackers use something called credential stuffing. They'll take email and password combinations from one data breach and try them against email accounts, Microsoft 365, online banking, cloud systems, and business platforms. So it is important if you go and visit this site that you do change those passwords. Recent cyber resilience studies suggest that businesses have been improving their security posture, and that's good news. But the 21% there is a bit concerning. Confidence drops when businesses are in the middle of a major incident. You only actually test your cybersecurity when something goes wrong, and that's when your email stops working, when a supplier has an incident, when an account is compromised, etc. And that's why cyber resilience is not just about tools. Tools help, but you've got to involve your people as well. People communicate, people prioritize, people keep the organization moving. And the key thing is to be prepared, don't be paranoid. You've probably heard this horrible phrase a few times, and it's one I don't like. You often hear staff called the weakest link. Staff are not really the weakest link. As Andy said, people aren't training their staff. You've got to give your staff the confidence to work with cybersecurity. You've got to be giving them the security awareness training. And I really dislike this phrase, and I don't use it, and I try and encourage other businesses to stop using it. People are not weak, they're busy, they're helpful, and we're human, and human nature is to be helpful. You receive a message from the CEO telling you to make a payment. You want to be helpful, you make that payment. But that's why you've got to have other systems in place. So any payment like that is double checked. You don't automatically make that payment. So in a resilient organization, your staff can be an early warning system. They're the ones who can spot the odd emails, the fake payment requests, and the suspicious login alerts, but only if they feel safe to report without being blamed. I talk to a lot of businesses, and some organizations don't have a great culture. People are afraid of speaking up for the fear of getting into trouble. But what I always tell people is it's better to say something and get it dealt with automatically. You won't look foolish. It's important that if you have a cyber attack, that it's stopped as soon as possible. And the aim is not perfection, it's making sure one mistake does not become a crisis. As Andy touched on, no organization can stop every attack. There's no way anybody can sell you a solution which will prevent all cyber attacks, unfortunately. But what you have to look about with cyber resilience is, can you keep essential work going? Do you know which systems matter most? Can you restore your data? Does everyone know who's leading the response? And during a cyber incident, you don't want to be working that out for the first time. You've got to plan and prepare for these things. And it's important to have an incident response plan, even for a small business. And it doesn't need to be huge. It could just be a one-pager explaining who leads what, who calls who, what gets restored first, and how you're going to communicate with staff, customers, and suppliers, etc. Resilience is not about having no problems. It's about being ready to respond and recover quickly. As Andy mentioned again, cyber resilience relies on your suppliers too. Supply chain attacks are a big thing. Marks and Spencer's, they were the victim of a supply chain attack. They got in through a call to their help desk, their IT security help desk, pretending to be an employee, and got them to reset the passwords. But all supply chains are involved in cyber now, and it's important that you're looking at who your suppliers are. Have they got cyber essentials themselves, and are they safe to do business with? So what I would suggest is really list your top 5 critical suppliers and ask, if one of those stopped working tomorrow, how would we keep going? AI is on everybody's mind right now. AI is everywhere, and most organizations are already using AI, whether they know it or not. Staff are pasting documents into ChatGPT and Claude to save time. It's not necessarily wrong, but it needs to be deliberate. The risk is not that AI is being used, it's that it's being used without any rules about what is and what is not appropriate. On the threat side, AI is making phishing emails more convincing, enabling fake voice and video calls, and helping attackers at scale. AI phishing emails can now be well written, personal, and convincing. Bad spelling is no longer an indicator. Staff still need awareness, but the controls around them matter more than ever. Two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, email filtering, reporting, verification processes, and monitoring. I want to leave you today with something you can actually do, a simple 5-point checklist for everybody to try and implement. It's not going to cover everything, but it's a good starting point. The important thing, first one, is protect your logins. Multi-factor authentication has been a recurring theme throughout my presentation and Andy's. but that's for a reason. It's still the single highest impact control for most organisations. If you do nothing else, it's not a silver bullet, but I'd certainly recommend switching MFA on your email, on your finance systems, on any admin and other cloud platforms. Long, strong, unique passwords are another important thing, or passphrases are slightly better than that. The National Cybersecurity Centre, they recommend 3 random words. I'd take that a step further, and I actually use 4 random words, plus a mixture of numbers and non-alphanumeric characters. Don't just stick a 1 and a star in the end, or a 1 and an asterisk. The cyber criminals know people do that, unfortunately. And don't save your passwords in a spreadsheet on your desktop. As daft as it sounds, I do go into businesses, and the first thing you see on the desktop is a spreadsheet called passwords.xls. And it does happen, and we tell people not to do it, but people do it for convenience, unfortunately. Password managers are a good thing. I'd certainly recommend looking at and investing in a robust password manager. It certainly makes creating and storing unique, strong passwords a lot easier. On my systems, I use 50 to 100 character passwords on the important stuff, and there's no way you'd remember that. So a password manager does that for you. You just need the one long, strong password to get into that. Point number 2 is patch quickly. Yesterday was Patch Tuesday. That's the day when Microsoft released their monthly updates, but other organizations like Adobe do as well. So I'd certainly patch as soon as possible. It was a big release yesterday with a lot of 0 days and critical threats. So it's important to keep your devices up to date, but also keep your browsers up to date as well. Make sure you're updating Chrome and Microsoft Edge. And to do that, you do have to close those 6 million tabs you've got open and just restart it. And that's the only way to do the update. Number 3, backup and test. I know a lot of businesses have backups, but they've never been tested. And you come to do a restore and you find they don't work. The backups actually haven't been doing anything. People look at OneDrive and SharePoint and think that's a backup. That's not a backup, unfortunately. That's a synchronization tool. It just means your data's there. Microsoft themselves do actually tell you to use a third-party backup solution. Number 4, make reporting easy. The goal is to create a culture where your people say something when they see something. We see it on the buses and the train all the time, but the same principles apply. See it, say it, sorted. It's as simple as that. Just create a nice culture where people aren't scared to make mistakes or to report incidents. And the last one, create a simple response plan. As mentioned earlier, a single page is enough to start. Just list on there your main contacts and who's going to be doing what if you ever do have a cyber incident. So to summarize, really, cyber resilience is not about being scared. It's about being ready. It's not about having no problems. It's about being harder to disrupt and quicker to recover. The strongest organizations are not the ones that never face problems. They're the ones that prepare, practice, and respond well. And there's my LinkedIn. If anybody would like to stay in touch, happy to take any questions. And I'm sure Andy's happy to jump back in as well and help with that as well. So thank you very much for listening, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Really helpful. Right. Well, this is just an opportunity, as we promised earlier on. If anybody has any questions for Kevin or Andy, perhaps something that's not been covered or something that you wanted them to expand on, please do feel free to speak up now or drop something in the chat, and we can sort of give that to them to use their expert knowledge. I did have a question myself, actually. I just wondered, to either of you really, in your experience, are cyber attacks, is it largely about criminal action in terms of somebody trying to leverage money out of a business, either by stealing money from it or using ransomware to hold them to ransom to get some money from them? Is it sort of just mischievous hackers in the sense of people just out to cause trouble, or what would you say in general the reason are for cyber attacks? And if Andy or Kevin or both of you, if you wanted to come in with your experience.
Well, I'll start if that's okay.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably both, to be honest, Sean. There are the big threat actor groups, the organised crime, who do it for money. But you also get the pupils in schools and colleges and universities who do it just to see if they can. So unfortunately, it is a mixture of the two. The Information Commissioner's Office last year, I think it was, put out a report about insider threats and saying the threats are not always external. Sometimes they are employees and pupils and students. So it's important to kind of monitor everything, your external threats, but also your internal insider threats. But Andy can probably cover more about that from a police perspective.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin, you're entirely right what you just said, and also what we have to remember as well is cybercrime is not always about money. It's also very important about data, it's people's information, and sometimes it is just malicious damage. It's taking over a social media account and posting things that they shouldn't be there. It's any sort of interference. Just because you don't have £1 million in the bank doesn't mean you're not a target. So your customer base is worth money. Your reputation is worth money. Either to leverage against you or for something else. So it's cybercrime. Cyber criminals will take anything they can. If it involves money, that's great, but other bits, because data is becoming the new oil. So pretty much protect all your borders, not just your money.
Just to add a little bit on top of that, sorry, Sean, just add a little bit on top of that. The cyber criminals use scanning technology, so they'll be looking for companies that have vulnerabilities where they've not patched out-of-date software. So it's not always they're going to target the likes of M&S and Jaguar Land Rover. They're just looking for the easiest options. And that's why we talk about patch management being so important, closing those loopholes, closing those vulnerabilities down, just to make it harder for them to attack you. It's a bit like having CCTV cameras and security lighting. You're trying to move them on to the next person, the next easy target. So it's about making yourself harder to be hit. Because sometimes they're targeted, sometimes they use what's called spray and pray attacks, where they'll just send out 5 million emails, and it only takes a couple of percentage of those people to reply. But with the vulnerability scanning, it's important to close those loopholes down as soon as you can.
And just to quickly follow up with Andy on something you mentioned. He said it's not always about money, it's about data, but then presumably having illegally harvested data from a company, they might sell that on to other organizations or do something else with it.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the time that data is either held to ransom, it's sold internally inside criminal networks. A lot of the time, if they've got access to your system, they will what's called exfiltrate, take out your data and then encrypt it behind it so you can't use it and you have to buy it back. There are a number of underhanded techniques that the cyber criminals use. So, so that's why, as Kevin said, and being a previous backup engineer in a previous life, having a backup of your data that you can rely on, where it is, you can get it back is absolutely imperative. I know, obviously, things like, Instagram and Facebook and bits and pieces, you can't back those up necessarily because a lot of businesses run through that. But the data you control, the bits you have, your Excel spreadsheets, your, if you have a CRM system, make sure they back it up somewhere else. It's just having those sort of golden copies that you can rely on if anything happens.
Yeah, just to add to that quickly, you can buy credentials on the dark web for about $12, which will let you hack into a business. Well, not even hack into a business, let you log into a business. So there are brokers on the dark web who are selling usernames and passwords to these companies. They've probably been stolen by a piece of malware called an info stealer, which can scrape your usernames and passwords and anything stored on those devices. So they're not necessarily targeting you themselves, they're just getting your data to then sell on to other criminals.
Right, thank you. I've just got a question in the chat from Nathan. He says, how many companies do you typically deal with which have a large number of other businesses that they work with? As an example, we have SAP, Rockwell, Microsoft, and many others in which they will have some access. Basically, isn't there only so much one business can do, as most businesses now have such a reliance on others due to, I have to excuse my lack of knowledge in this, due to SaaS and LAAS.
SaaS and infrastructure as a
SaaS
service and software as a service. So think software as a service as your Microsoft 365 and your Google Workspace and stuff like that. Your infrastructure as a service could be your firewalls and things you're buying in. I think the thing is, as I mentioned in my presentation, is to probably list your main critical providers. The Jaguar Land Rover attack, I believe, was through a Jira database. They got in that way. So it's looking at your most critical providers and kind of knowing where you stand with them. Microsoft are always going to be pretty much okay, but they are a target for cyber criminals. But yeah, just make a list of all your suppliers and know who to contact if anything does go down.
Just to add to that, I would recommend that when you do take on a new service, do your own due diligence. If you look on the NCSC, National Cybersecurity Centre, NCSC website, there is an MSP checklist. It's got lots of questions on there that you can ask of a supplier. It doesn't have to be your service provider, but ask your new supplier of what do they do for their cybersecurity. So it covers things like, do they have a backup? What is their response time? Do they patch? Do they do bits and pieces? A lot of the questions you would probably know to ask, and some you probably wouldn't. So if you, in fact, I'll find the link for it and put it in the chat. But that's a good way of just really certifying that the people you're dealing with are taking it as seriously as you do, because you can't always be fully aware of what they do. As Kevin said, Microsoft and bits and pieces. In fact, there's the link there. The Microsoft and SAPs and of this world have a huge team behind them, and they are a prime target. So they will keep themselves safe. But for other smaller providers, ask them some of the questions outside that, and that should give you peace of mind. Hopefully,
Cyber Essentials is another good indicator as well. And for a lot of businesses, if you look for SOC 2 accreditation, it means they've passed various security things. The government recently did a cyber resilience pledge, and as part of that, you can sign up through the IASME portal, the people who do Cyber Essentials. So you can check the people you're working with, whether they've got the Cyber Essentials certification or not. So that's certainly worth looking at.
I think we've got another question coming in. Abdul Malik, I hope I've pronounced that correctly. He's typing furiously. Don't know if you wanted to just ask the question verbally, Abdul Malik, or he's still typing away. Okay. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to cover? Anyone at all?
I just wanted to reiterate people joining our community just to get all our free guidance and hopefully sign up to and sort of arrange their one-to-one, because we're here to help everyone not only be more cybersecurity but also understand a bit more about why they should be doing their cybersecurity. We've got people like Kevin who can take it over and above what guidance we can do. But if you are interested in joining, that's the link there. Please join our community. It's free, so we'd love to have you on board, please.
Okay. What I will do is I will send some of these links through to people post webinar.
Yes, please.
Okay. Right. Abdul Malik, what I'm gonna do is, because I need to bring this to a close, unfortunately. But if you send me your question, I will forward that on to Kevin and Andy for you. So it only remains for me to just say, if I can just very quickly give you our further information, links to our partner sites. And if you want to know more about the East Midlands Institute of Technology, go to www.emiot.ac.uk, or you can follow us on our social media channels. So it only remains for me to thank everybody for attending today. I'm sure everybody's busy, and to particularly thank Kevin and Andy for what's proved to be a very informative session. I've certainly learned quite a lot from that. And as I say, please do in future keep an eye on our website events page. We do advertise these webinars coming up, and we do advertise them on our social media channels as well. And again, I'd just like to thank everybody for coming along today, and I hope you have a good rest of the week. Thank you.